So I'm sure most of you also know the struggles most of us face at some point during our art journeys: motivation. Hi everyone, I'm Ceira, a pet and animal portrait artist, and today I'm going to talk to you about some of my struggles with motivation while I draw. So here's my story. I often hear other artists talking about lack of motivation, how to gain motivation back, and all of that kind of thing regarding motivation to do with art. So at one point I was one of these people too, and sometimes I still am now. I'll admit I'm quite a lazy person sometimes, so motivation is a struggle for me in general, not just with regards to drawing. But I have found some helpful ways to help me when I'm dealing with a lack of motivation, and I hope that some of those can help you too. But first I'd like to talk to you about my story. So another feeling that lots of artists feel when they're experiencing lack of motivation, they feel quite disheartened, as did I, because this is something we're supposed to love doing. We're not supposed to not enjoy doing it or not want to do it. So it can be very disheartening for many people, including myself. But like I said, there are still some times when I struggle with motivation, but I've kind of come up with a list of ways that I can help myself. I think the main time when I experienced a lack of motivation was during my GCSE art. I think one of the main reasons for this was because they were asking for quite a lot, and as somebody who likes to spend their time on drawings, it became a very stressful experience trying to get pieces done every however often, on top of balancing all of my other school subjects. So I think that's one of the main ways that I lost motivation. Another thing which I think is important to include is not just the lack of motivation, it's the difficulty of actually starting the drawing, because sometimes that can be the hardest part, getting your art supplies out and just sitting down and just getting those pencils and just starting to actually draw. So that's another really difficult thing which I've had to work through, and I still do now. But I hope my experiences can help some of you. So when I first started out drawing, I didn't really struggle with motivation. I loved drawing, it's all I wanted to do. I didn't really have any issues, but like I said, especially when I got to the GCSE art, I had more of an issue with motivation. And that's one of the things that caused me to lose a lot of it. Other things was being hard on myself when my drawing was going through ugly stages, and also the difficulty of starting, like I've already said. As well as that is just focusing on numbers on social media. That's something that's really not very healthy, and we all need to stop getting in the habit of doing that. So one of the main ways, which is quite a weird one, that helped me gain motivation back after I lost quite a lot of it, was drawing gifts for other people. So as a pet portrait artist, I have quite a few family members and friends that also have pets. So when I would draw the pictures and give them to them, it made me feel really good. But of course, that's not a very sustainable way of keeping motivation going. So there are lots of different ways that you can boost motivation. And also, not related to motivation, but like I said about the difficulty starting, sometimes it's just the initial bit which you've got to push yourself through. You've got to push yourself through that and just say, right, I'm going to start drawing. And then the hardest part is kind of over. And I think that applies to quite a lot of things in life in general too. So another thing I like to do when I am drawing to help me not get distracted by things is I'll just put up my phone like I have here and start recording something. Start recording a time lapse usually, because when you're recording a time lapse, you don't want to stop drawing because you want to keep the time lapse going. So that's another way that's really helped me when I've actually started drawing, to get up and actually finish it and not just sit there staring at it, because of course you want to show the progress in the time lapse. But if that's also not something that would work for you, I like watching videos like this one, like chatty draw with me's or tutorials. Even if I'm not following along with them, it's kind of comforting knowing that there's someone there that's drawing with me, which I think is quite a weird thing to say, but I mean, it's something that works, so I don't mind it. The biggest thing when it came to my GCSE art was I had my GCSE art and I finished it, and then I had to take a break from drawing for about 2 months, just because I had to focus on all my other exams. And I found myself in that break, the only thing I wanted to do was draw, which is really weird because before I couldn't even get myself to start. So I think that's another thing important, is sometimes you just need a bit of time away from drawing to realise how much you actually love it and you just want to come back to it. Also, another thing that's really helped me is finding stuff that I love drawing and doing that. So one in particular for me is black fur. I absolutely love drawing black fur. I don't know what it is about it. It's just got all the colours in it and it's very shiny, and when I find myself not wanting to draw, oftentimes the case is I don't want to draw anything else but what I actually like doing. So if you're struggling with motivation, think of something that you really love drawing and focus on drawing that for a bit, and don't push yourself with it. Just see if you can get yourself back into remembering how much you love drawing. Just got to sharpen my pencil. Another thing which I find really helpful, especially when I'm struggling to actually start the drawing, is making a plan of my day. Just sticking to the plan that you've made can sometimes just be a way of forcing you to draw. I know quite a lot of people also like to-do lists. It's just the sense of like, it's a sense of like ticking stuff off when you've finished it, and it makes you feel like you've kind of achieved something, if that makes sense. Another thing which might just be me, I'm quite a competitive person some of the time, proving people wrong. You know, if somebody says you can't do something, it makes you want to go in and do it. So this is what really helped me push through my GCSE art, is when I had people telling me that I couldn't do it. Or not necessarily telling me I couldn't do it, but just not really believing in me, which might seem like the kind of opposite thing, because it is really important to have people who believe in you and to believe in yourself. But having those people just kind of made me want to prove them wrong, and it gave me motivation to be like, right, I am not going to take their advice, I'm going to do the opposite of what they said, and I'm just going to prove them completely wrong. So that's something which really helped me in the sense of GCSE art. But it is one of the reasons why I am not taking A-level art, purely because they just expected too much from me, and I like working on like much smaller, more detailed drawings rather than big ones, which they wanted. But by the end of my GCSE art, I'd actually learned to start liking art a bit more. I mean, it was still stressful, but I was trying new things. So I do primarily colour pencil animal drawings, and I still stuck to the idea of animal drawings for the most part, because that's what I enjoyed doing. But I decided that I'd give things a bit of a change up and try something new, so I tried some pieces that were like in really bright colours, like pinks, purples, blues, and put myself out there a bit, put myself a bit out of my comfort zone, because I think it was really important for me to realise that I could actually do it, and that I needed to stop making excuses for myself. And I also tried black and white ranges in colour pencil, so I'll use the polychromos and just use the cold grey range. And I did that for a lot of my GCSE pieces in my sketchbook. And I really enjoyed it, and now it's actually something that I offer as a commission option. But I used graphite for the background of those, and that's something I also quite enjoyed. I drew some landscapes to practice backgrounds for the animals, and then I'd merged the two together. which has made me want to do some more graphite in the future as well. So I think also it's a balance. Do what you love, but don't be afraid to push yourself out of your comfort zone, because sometimes that can give you motivation to go, oh wait, I can do this, and it's something new and I'm looking forward to trying it. I know quite a lot of people like to use apps such as Pinterest and things like that, as they have like Instagram, because you can see other artists' work. And I think this can be really, really helpful sometimes, but you also need to be careful that you're not comparing your art to other people's, because that can also be quite damaging and can cause you to lose motivation. So I think it's all just a balance, and I balance all of those things that I said. It wasn't just one way which helped me gain my motivation back. It was quite a few of them. So I think that's really important to note, that it's not going to be a simple, easy journey. You know, some things that work for one person aren't going to work for everyone else, and they might not work for you. And that's okay, you just need to keep trying and keep going, because at the end of the day, the art is what you love doing, and if you've lost that love, then we need to try and find it again. Throughout my time of having a break from art, I find myself itching to get back to drawing because I just have nothing else to do. Other than drawing, I do have other hobbies, but I spend most of my time doing the art, and it was really important for me that I had that break to realise that without it, I just wasn't really happy and I wasn't doing anything. But sometimes you just need that break to tell you so. So if you're taking a break from your art, you shouldn't feel guilty about it. That's fine, because sometimes it is what you need to help you get back into it again. I also think another very important thing is finding your why. If you don't have a why, then most of these reasons aren't going to be very sustainable for helping keep you motivated in art, and you'll just keep on going through the cycle, which is normal to some extent, but you don't want it a lot. You just need to find your why, to remind you why you love creating. So a few things that are my why is I love animals. I love capturing the eyes and the nose. I really like doing those for some reason. I love creating for other people, but I also love the beauty of what I create. And I'm also learning now to romanticize the process of creating it, which is another thing that can be really, really helpful for some people. If you romanticize the process, it's kind of like you're falling in love with the process and not just the outcome. So there are many things that can cause us as artists to lose motivation for doing our art. But there are also a few ways that you can try and get it back. And if worse comes to worse, you just take the break and you force yourself to start doing a piece that you know you're going to love. I also think going back to doing pieces that you love can sometimes be very relaxing, as when you're sometimes pushing yourself out of your comfort zone does work, but your brain has to think a bit harder. So I like doing like really simple ones as well, like black fur, which isn't simple in itself. I've just done a lot of drawings of black fur. I know how it goes, I enjoy adding the colours in, and I don't have to think about it too hard, and it's just very relaxing. So sometimes you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but sometimes it's very important that you need to stay in it, and whatever works for you is, well, it might be like me, where it's a mixture, or it might be one or the other, and that's okay, because we're all different people and we all have different things that work for us. Hopefully this video has taught you that you're not alone in struggles with motivation, as most of us go through it as well, and hopefully I've given you some helpful ideas that worked for me to help regain motivation or just start drawing. Hopefully some of those ideas will work for you as well. I'd just like to thank you for watching. Bye everyone.